The subject of today's video is the false prophet of a leader of a Filipino cult, Pinoy cult. His name is Maestro, which means master, lord, or not lord, but master, teacher, whatever you want to call him. Erano Evangelista, probably a fake name also. But anyway, this group's really out there. They make Iglesia ni Cristo look, I don't know, almost orthodox. But these people are really messed up. They believe Jesus is not the Son of God. They believe Paul's a false apostle. And they believe that Jesus is the person spoken of Isaiah 14. So I'm going to address mostly that. And by the way, according to their standard, if you prove a prophet to be false on one matter, he's a false prophet and deserves to die, and so on. Which I hope to do with this little fella here who has terrible Bible interpretation. Anyway, this article is found on their website, which is thename.ph. It says, based alone on the Bible, who is the real messenger of Jesus? It says, many Christian teachers claim their biblical teachings speak of the truth about Jesus. Even Islam claims the Prophet Muhammad bears the true gospel of Jesus as well. With the multitude of preachers who claim that they preach the truth about Jesus, how do we know the real one who speaks the truth about Jesus? Let us read Jesus' final words in the book of Revelation. I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you the testimony for the churches. I am the root and offspring of David and the bright morning star. That's Revelation 22:16. Then they go on and say, to identify the real messenger whom Jesus sent, Jesus said that his angel or messenger will testify or prove two truths about him, that he is Jesus, the root and spring of David. When Jesus said he is the root and spring of David, meaning that he is only a descendant of King David and not a son of God. To insist that Jesus is the Son of God will therefore lead to the conclusion that King David is God in human form. If this is true, it makes God a liar, and we know that God cannot lie. Then they quote Numbers. We don't really need anything to prove God can't lie. The fact that he's God would suggest he won't lie. Anyway, he says in that Jesus is the morning star. Jesus says that the angel or messenger whom he sent will also testify that he is the bright morning star. Who is the bright morning star whom Jesus claims to be himself? As an overview, let us read the following prophecy in Isaiah 14:12-16. How have you fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of the dawn? Have you been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations? Then they pretty much go and okay, let's just keep going. This is everyone's reaction to the angel or messenger of Jesus divulges the real identity of the morning star and make known to the people of the world. They quote it again. Everyone thought he is in heaven. Why did he fall? Laid low the nations, made ravage because of him. They quote the KJV, they quote the CSV, and then it says, religions intentionally tried to hide the true identity of the morning star. They showed and changed the identity into Lucifer, which links with Jesus' admonition in Revelation 22:16. And they quote it again. And then they quote, then they're trying to link Luke because it has a few similar words. They try to smash them together, and you can go on with this. Their articles are very ridiculously long. Most of it's just quoting different Bible translations at times. But anyway, here's what's wrong with their claims. Okay, they quote Revelation 22:16. One point is that they somehow conclude that he is alone the root of offspring of David, meaning he can't be the Son of God. The problem with this is that even the book of Revelation, which they use in, for instance, Revelation 2 to try to prove that Paul is a false apostle. Let's go to that verse. They think that Revelation 2:2 proves Paul is a false apostle because it speaks of those who claim to be apostles but are not and have found them false. why do they assume this is Paul and it says apostles? Why do they assume that's Paul? I don't know. Maybe it's because Erano said it was, whatever his name is, their maestro. But anyway, Revelation 2, they believe John was a prophet, the prophet John. It's even found on their website. Now, the funny thing about the book of Revelation, it does call Jesus the Son of God in that same chapter, which makes you think maybe they didn't read the whole chapter. It says, it's funny because it's also one of the things the angel was told. It says, for instance, in that one they quote, "To the angel of the church of Ephesus, write." That's what he write. And now we come to what the angel in Thyatira. To the angel in the church of Thyatira, write, "These are the words of the Son of God, whose eyes are like blazing fire and whose feet are like burnishing bronze. I know your deeds." And it goes on. It's Jesus. And they say there is no Son of God. God can't have a son, not literally or in any sense. They'll say, well, like maybe King David. But right here it calls Jesus the Son of God. And they say you can't call Jesus Son of God. That's blasphemy and so on. But it said right there, the prophet John, who they claim is a different man from the apostle, says it right there. Or he has it written right there. Revelation 2, verse 18. Now let's go back to Revelation 22. Whoops, I had it somewhere. Anyway, they try to match this common title, Morning Star. There's a lot of common titles in the Bible. For instance, King of Kings. There was a pagan called King of Kings in the book of Daniel, the 2nd chapter. He was the king Nebuchadnezzar. He wasn't Jesus, but he's still called the King of Kings. And then there's other titles like that are similar also you'll find in the Old Testament. Even titles between God and pagan gods. But anyway, also the fact that he's called the Son of David, he's the Son of David physically, being so by Mary. He's the offspring of David. Mary was of the tribe of Judah and of the house of David. Likewise with her husband Joseph, but Jesus did not derive anything from Joseph. The Gospels are clear on that, but they also try to deny the virgin birth. But anyway, it says morning star. Let's look at that. Isaiah 14. They claim Isaiah 14 is proof that, or actually Revelation 22:16 is proof that Isaiah 14 is about Jesus. I can prove it's not about Jesus simply by reading Isaiah 14. The section they quote here is very limited. They say, "How art thou fallen, O day star," or this says morning star, depending on what translation. "Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground." Now let's read the whole chapter. Isaiah 14. "For the Lord will have compassion on Jacob and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall join himself with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the peoples shall take down and bring to them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord, for the servants and for handmaids, and they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord, in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy travail and from thy trouble, and the hard service wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this parable against the king of Babylon, and say, How hath the oppressor ceased, the exactress of gold ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers, that smote the peoples in wrath with an incessant stroke, that ruled the nations in anger, with a persecution that none restrained. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth in singing. The cypresses rejoice at thee. And the cedars of Lebanon, since thou art laid down, No feller is come upon against us. The netherworld from beneath is moved from thee to meet thee at thy coming. The shades are stirred up against thee, up for thee, even all the chiefs of the earth. All the kings of the nations are raised up from their thrones. All they do answer and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the netherworld, and the noise of thy psalmistry, the maggot is spread under thee, and the worms covered thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O day star, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, that didst cast lots over the nations? And thou wilt say in thy heart, I will ascend to heaven above the stars of God. I will exalt my throne. I will sit upon the mount of meeting in the uttermost parts of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to the netherworld, to the uttermost parts of the pit. And they that saw thee do narrowly look upon thee. They gaze earnestly at thee. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, and did shake the kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof? That opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, all of them, sleep in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast forth away from the grave like an abhorred offshoot, in the raiment of the slain, that are thrust through with the sword, that go down to the pavement of the pit, as a carcass trodden underfoot. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land, thou hast slain thy people. The seed of the evildoer shall not be named forever. Prepare ye slaughter for his children, for their iniquity of their fathers, that they rise not up, and possess the earth, and fill the face of the world with cities. I will raise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, to cut off from Babylon name and remnant, an offshoot and offspring, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, the pools of water, and I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. Anyway, I could go on. And then it talks about King Ahaz here in the land of Ashur and so on. But the point is, it says Babylon right here. Babylon. And just before it, in verse 4, it says it's a parable against the king of Babylon. The point is, the stuff said about the morning star, day star, whatever you want to call it, the son of dawn, it's about the king of Babylon. It's not about Jesus. It's not even technically about Satan. It was applied to Satan because it resembles some of the things Jesus said about Satan. That's it. So the plain reading of this chapter is it's about the king of Babylon. I don't know why they would want to make it about Jesus, other than the fact they seem to hate Jesus. But anyway, that's what Isaiah 14 says. And by the way, when it says the son of dawn, according to some translations, other ones say son of the morning. Same thing, really. Dawn was the name of a pagan deity in the ancient world. I think it was a Babylonian deity, or is it one of those around there. And so to say he's the son of dawn means he's the son of this particular god. It's the son of dawn or son of morning. It's actually sarcasm. He's being sarcastic. He is mocking. It's part of this mocking taunt that Isaiah uses, or is actually said by God, mocking the king of Tyre, saying, "Oh, day star, son of dawn, how are you fallen cut to the ground? Thou didst cast lots over the nations. Oh, and you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, above the stars of God. I will exalt my throne, and I will sit upon the mount of meeting in the uttermost parts of the north. I will ascend above the clouds, the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet, God says he was brought down to the netherworld, to the uttermost parts of the pit. That's all it's about. It's not about Jesus at all. And by the way, it talks about the kings of nations and destroying cities and all this stuff. You just didn't do that. You didn't accomplish that. So how could it be Jesus? It just shows that this goofball here, Maestro Erano Evangelista, is a false prophet, and he has nothing to contribute other than destruction of souls. So by the fact that Isaiah 14 is not about Jesus shows that this guy is a false prophet.